Hey guys, today I'm going to teach you some basics. We're going to make a red sauce. Come with me and I'll show you how. So, the other day I was talking to my friend, Robert, who I consider a foodie. You know, he's really into all the different Asian cuisines and things like that, and he's fairly knowledgeable. And he asked me a question. He said, "What's your favorite thing to cook?" Well, my favorite thing to cook is something that starts out with a sauce or something that is sauce based. So I mentioned red sauce. And he said, "You know, I buy it in the jar, but I've never made it at home." So I thought, maybe it's time I showed you how. So let's go over what you're going to need today. In here we have 2 onions chopped, 1.5 cups of carrots, 1.5 cups of bell peppers, and about 3 tablespoons of minced garlic. We're going to brown those off in just a minute. We also have 2 cans of tomato paste. You can see, tomato paste. Oh, right there you go, tomato paste. And 1 can of San Marzano tomatoes. We also have 4 cups of stock. Now, I only had chicken stock in the house, but if you have a vegetable stock, that's generally the way to go. This recipe is going to be basically vegetarian friendly, with the exception of the chicken stock. But again, if you don't want chicken stock, use vegetable stock. If you don't want to use stock at all, you can use just water. But you know my theory on that: if you can add flavor, add flavor. You will also need salt, black pepper, and about a 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of sugar. And I know some people really don't agree with this, but I feel that when you make an acidic sauce like a red sauce, you need that sugar to cut the acidity in the tomatoes just a bit. It also heightens the other savory flavors. So you're not using a lot, but you do need a little. First things first though, we're going to go sear off our vegetables. Alright, so we've got our pot on the stove. We've got about 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of oil in the pan. And we have our vegetables. Now, I'm just showing you how to make a stock red sauce. If you wanted to make this a meat sauce, you would start out by browning the meat, using the fat from the meat to cook the vegetables. But we're going to try to make this vegetarian friendly, and try to make this a sauce that you can build off of if you wanted to make a vodka sauce or a cream sauce using this recipe. So let's go ahead and add in our vegetables. Alright, so now we're going to saute these until they're translucent. Once they're translucent, you have options. You can either leave it chunky like this and have a chunkier sauce, or if you prefer, you can process it with a food processor or blender and make a smooth sauce. Completely your call. Again, our temperature on this is about a medium high. And now, for the time warp. Alright, so as you can see, we have a much more translucent color. Everything's reduced down nicely. Our next step is to rust the onions, which we do that by adding in 1 can of tomato paste. And if you're a loyal viewer of my show, you know this is a very similar base to what the chili dish was. And as you can see, it all kind of links together. Most tomato dishes have a very similar base. Alright, so we're going to let this cook for a couple more minutes. We're going to stir this often because the oil is pretty much cooked in, and we don't want it to scald or burn. And our next step would be the blender. Alright, now, as I mentioned, if you're not interested in a perfectly smooth sauce, you don't mind a little chunk, you don't have to do this step at all. But I kind of like a smoother sauce. So I am going to run this through the blender here. And to make it a little looser, I'm going to go ahead and add about 2 cups of the stock. All right, well, let's get this done. All right. All right, we're gonna go add this back to the pot. It was at this moment I knew the camera had fucked up. Unfortunately, at this point I went to edit the video and this whole section was corrupted, so I couldn't use it. But I figure I can probably just talk you through it, so just hang with me here and I'll walk you through the next coming steps. First thing you want to do is, if you decided to blend your product up, go ahead and add it back to the pot. If you didn't, it should already be there. You want to go ahead and take your can of tomatoes and crush those into the pot and add any remaining juice from the can. If you're doing fresh, again, you wouldn't have a can, so why are you giving me a hard time? You need to calm down. After that, you need to take your can of tomato paste, the second can, and go ahead and add that to the mixture as well. And then follow up with the remaining stock that we made earlier. Should be about 2 cups. You want to bring that up to a boil and then lower it down to a simmer. After we hit that simmer, we're going to let it cook for about 2 hours uncovered because we want it to reduce and thicken a bit. Again, if it gets to the point where you check it and you're not happy with the consistency or the thickness, you can add, a little bit of cornstarch and some cold water to the pot, bring it back up to a boil, and it'll thicken up significantly. And now we return to another exciting episode of Evil Versus. Alright, it's been about 2 hours. Keep an eye on this, make sure you kept it stirred. And this is what we're looking at. See how you can put a line in the spoon and it stays? That's about the consistency you want, at least. You can reduce this a little bit more if you'd like, or if it's a little thin, feel free to add some cornstarch and a little bit of water. Bring it back up to a boil and it should thicken up a little bit, but this is generally where I like my sauce. I'm going to go ahead and cook dinner, and I'm probably going to add some hamburger meat to this, and then I'll show you the final dish. Alright, here's our finished product. This is a little penne pasta with some ground beef with the tomato sauce that we made earlier and some chopped basil. It's just that easy. Now you know how to make tomato sauce.
Well, folks, it's time to call it a night. Do what you feel and keep both feet on the wheel. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So till next time.
I'm evil. You're not. Get the fuck out.